Days like these last with one another, with the feeling pass.
So I've left Killiecrankie now and I'm walking along the left side of the River Garry behind me. I've got about 2 hours of daylight left. The sun's just kind of over there starting to go down over the gorge. But I've got to try and push on now because where I am in Killiecrankie and the River Garry is very high steep side behind me, and across the other side you can see it. So there's no possibility of putting a tent up anywhere. So I've got to try and push on, and I think we come to a bridge after about half a mile, and then we'll cross that to the far side of the bank, and I'll travel a few miles along that. And my hope is that there's a nice clearing just up from the river and I can put my tent up. The downside of my plan, so to speak, is that I brought a bigger tent. You know, these kind of conditions when it's really cold. The last 3 or 4 trips I've brought my little Falrav and a Bisco Light, a wee one-man tent. But on this occasion I decided to bring a 2-man tent, the Falrav and a Bisco View. But it's a bigger footprint, so it's always that more challenging to get a wee patch, especially if you start running out of light in winter time, so you've got to be careful. At worst I've got the head torch with me, got a few lights spare, you know, just in case you get into trouble. And I know you can push right on about 6 miles, 7 miles and end up crossing the river over the Coronation Bridge. It's an old kind of 1800s cast iron bridge, beautiful. And you can walk down Loch Fascally, and if my memory serves me right, which is always a dangerous thing at my age, there's a nice flat peninsula where I camped years ago. The danger of that is that you're pushing on into the dark, and 10 years is a long time. There's probably a housing development or a Tesco there now. But we'll just push on in the snow. It's been a lovely day's walk. The temperature started to rise, or maybe it just feels that way because I'm walking. But I'm just trying to take my time because I've got a really heavy pack on. You know, just for that extra comfort in the cold conditions. You take a lot more gear than you do in a week's hike in the summer. But the secret to it is to just take your time, enjoy this beautiful scenery, and make sure you don't start sweating. I mean, look at that, what I'm walking into. How beautiful is that? And you've got the river down there flowing. Absolutely stunning. I'm a lucky wee boy. As I said earlier, I was in 2 minds whether to cancel the trip due to the heavy snow it's due tomorrow. But my fallback position was tomorrow's another day. And I'll come out and enjoy this, and I'll deal with tomorrow. If we get stuck going down the road, so be it. That's another reason I want to try and push on, so that I'm not, I'm out of breath, so I'm not out I'm walking in deep snow tomorrow for 4 or 5 miles back into Pitlochry. Perfect scenarios, I've only 2 or 3 miles, and by the time I get there the snow ploughs will have been out, and it allows me to get home for this weekend's adventure as well. So we'll just push on for now. That bridge you can just see over my shoulder down the River Gary even. Getting tired now, it's getting late in the day. That's the bridge during summertime when I like my adventure, but that's a no-no. That's one of the ones they bungee jump off of from the top of the bridge, just on the underside of it, straight down, touch the water and back up again. It's a no-no for Colt. That's the bridge, and you can see under there, if I zoom in slightly, if I can suss out how to do it, you can see that's where in summertime the bungee jumpers jump off that cradle. Right down there and touch the water and bounce right back up. Not for me, I think. That's us down the bottom end of the River Gary. It's about back of 3, just kind of starting to look for a campsite for the night. But you can tell how cold it's been. If I turn that round there behind me, you can see all the white in front of you is actually the river that's totally frozen over. And the River Gary can be quite fast flowing at times. Obviously been a cold night. I can hear the ice cracking just behind me, but hopefully we find a nice spot to camp on, just with a view of the river. But the path I'm on just now is very much by the riverside itself, so we'll just have to push on and look for the right opportunity. Some wee spot always presents itself and then you think, oh, bonus, but you turn your nose up at so many campsites, you know, because you just want something better. In reality, I could just sit and put my tent up here, a bit close to the river, just in case there's a big heat wave. It happens a lot in Scotland, you know, and the whole river just rushes down in spate. You've even got a few bits over there I could camp, but I'm going to push on. It's getting dark, closer to just 5 o'clock rather than 4 o'clock. It's been the last month, so it's a bonus that way. All I'm looking for is a wee half an hour to get my tent set up, get my obligatory coffee on the go, and then we're all happy. Well, I think I found my campsite for tonight. It's a cracking spot. I've came to the end of the River Gary where it joins into the River Tummel, the Linn of Tummel even, and there's a peninsula headland here with tall pine trees, and you can see, if I take you in, there's an area just over my shoulder where it's kind of quite light in the snow, so that shows me if there is snowfall during the evening or tomorrow morning, I'm going to get a little bit of shelter. And it's a lovely spot. It's nice and flat, and you can see the River Gary over my shoulder. The far bank, the far side of it is iced over. I've been walking around just considering whether I'm going to camp here, and it's all I can hear is the creaks of the ice, and I think, oh, that's a good place, that's a sign I have to camp here, I think. And when I look at the map, I head further down the path for 5-10 minutes and I cross an old bridge. It's as if it's gunfire going over with that ice. Maybe that will distract me, but I cross that bridge and I go to that side, and when I look at the map, as I say, it looks more hilly. There's a couple wee sections, then after that it's the last couple of miles into Pitlochry, so it's the back of 3, and I think the decision's been made that I'm going to stick the tent up, get it nice and comfortable, and get a coffee on and rest my weary legs and get nice and warm, and I'll get the thermals on, the old merino wool. We'll get ourselves warm and get a little stove for a coffee. Right guys. One of the problems with a cold winter camping is you can't actually get the pegs into the ground because it's frozen. So you have to go and get yourself a nice tool, a nice rock to do a bit of bashing. So off we go. Job's a good one. I don't think that tent's going anywhere unless there's a bit of a storm. It's a great wee campsite, although I've got a feeling I'll be woke up in the middle of the night. The noise of that ice creaking and cracking is like a shotgun going off sometimes. It gives you quite a fright. But that's me, get the tent set up now, so it's just get on my sleeping bag and bivy bag, because I've brought a bivy bag to put over the sleeping bag for a bit extra warmth tonight. So it's going to be a bit of a cold one. So we'll get a coffee on now. Well, that's me, get the tent pitched. I think I said earlier in the video that the last 2 or 3 trips I took my tiny wee one-man tent, and it's been pouring down with rain and mist and freezing cold, and it's fantastic bomb-proof tents. But the reality is you're stuck from 4 or 5 o'clock right through, so there's not much room. So I decided just to carry the extra weight, and I brought this big sort of bad boy. This is the Foul Raven Abisko View tent. Now it's not a four-season tent, but it's fantastic for coming out. Highly recommend it. What's great about it is you can see I've opened the whole front up, but you can do that in the back as well. So if there's two of you, you can set your tent up, and if you've got a nice view, you can just sit out and relax with it, and it's easy access to come in if the weather's decent. So what I've done this trip is I've just brought my normal Sea to Summit mat. I find it the most comfy mat I've ever had. I've got about 7 mats, and this is the one I sleep best in. I've not brought a real heavy duty winter sleeping bag because invariably they're very, very heavy and bulky. Not heavy, but very bulky and take up a lot of room. So I've brought an old 25-year-old, I think it's a North Face Blue Kazoo, and I can't even remember what temperature it goes down to. It's maybe -4, -5, something like that. Could be -7, who knows? But it's about 25 years old and still working great. But what I've done is I've actually brought a Terra Nova Jupiter bivy bag with me, a Gore-Tex one, just because I'll be kicking a lot of the snow and things in as I go in and out of the tent. And the last thing I want is the sleeping bag getting wet during the night. So that gives it a little bit of protection, and it also pushes the temperature up. And what I'll tend to do now is once I finish talking to you guys, I'll strip off, I'll get the merino wool leggings and top on, a few other layers, my heavier down jacket, and I'll get the little stove on for a coffee, and I'll enjoy this fantastic view. I'll just show you what I'm looking at from it so you can see. This is exactly the view I've got coming out, apart from my fingers there. So I'm just looking right down, maybe about 12 feet from the edge of the bank, and then I've got the river there, and I can see about a foot or two of water, and then the rest is just all ice. It's cracking. Fantastic view. Got an hour's light, so I'll just start getting ready. And what I'll do later on, what I've done is a little treat for myself this week, because I knew it was going to be really cold tonight, is I've brought a lot of extra gear. So I've got my little North Face down booties that normally I just sleep naked in the sleeping bag because I feel that's the best way to stay warm. A lot of people put a lot of layers on. The clothes have been wearing during the day and it's full of sweat and you stay cold because a sleeping bag works. This is just my opinion. It's your body heat getting trapped within those feathers, the down feathers, and that heats the area up and therefore keeps you warm. And when you go into bed with clothes you've been wearing all day, and I understand the temptation, I did it for years, you're having to warm all that damp sort of material and things before it can even get into the sleeping bag. So what I'll do is I'll just sleep with my merino wool thermals. I'm tired. It's part of being cold. And I brought a couple of, the little hand warmers you can kind of break open when the oxygen hits them and they warm up. I'll put them in my down booties and a couple in the sleeping bag, maybe about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock tonight, and that'll just create a bit extra heat in the sleeping bag as well. And I'll always sleep with the hat on no matter what, summer or anything. The hat always stays on. But for now, I'll leave you and I'm going to get a well-earned coffee in the go because hiking through the snow's tough work, you know. I'll speak to you soon. Okay folks, the light's starting to fade away there. It was a beautiful day today and one of the best days walking I've had in a long time. I think when you're out in the rain and mist in the middle of winter and you're doing all these hikes and campovers with no views, you can get a bit fed up, to be honest with you. It's still great to get out, but you can get fed up with it. So when you come out and it's a lovely snowy kind of crisp day, but no snow's falling, and you're seeing temperatures of -10 when you're driving up, but you get here and it was almost as if I thought, well, it's still cold but I'm walking and it's keeping me warm, but the temperature obviously has risen because I can hear the river's ice starting to creak. And I just checked the little backpack thermometer I carry with me and it's the temperature risen up to like 1 degree above zero. So obviously it was a cracking day and it's now a case of temperatures dropping and it's time to get my wee coffee on the go, get some heat into me. But it's a great little spot I've got here. I see there's no wind, no rain, no snow. Snow's forecast tomorrow morning. I've got about a 2.5 mile hike out here. I just go, this is the River Garry and River Tummel. I just cross the River Tummel and I walk for about 5-10 minutes, and it's a single track road straight back into Pitlochry, the fish dam, the kind of salmon ladder, whatever they call it, and then back to the van and down the road, and hopefully I don't get stuck in the roads with heavy snow. But I'm just going to settle in now, make my coffee, got my book. I think I've got about half an hour, 40 minutes light or something left. It was 4 o'clock, but I think it's getting closer to 5 before it's starting to go now, you know. But it's a cracking spot. I just love this. I'm so happy because I got out this trip. Yeah, it was so beautiful. I can't explain it to you. It just makes your heart warm right up anyway. So I'm getting my wee coffee on and we'll speak to you later on once we've had dinner and stuff, okay? Dinner time. That's darkness came in now, and according to my little thermometer, I'm not sure if you can see the temperature or not. It's just dropping beneath zero now, but we're going to get a nice bag meal going, get some heat into us, and tonight's feast is a real Turmat's red Thai curry. Vegan apparently. I didn't notice that before when I bought it. But never mind, it won't do me any harm as long as it's warm. Oh, it's a cold one. I'm camped up here at the side of the River Garry. It's about 9:30 at night. I'm just about to turn the light off and try and get some sleep. Just checked the wee thermometer I've got hanging in the Vespo of the tent, and it's currently sat at -5. I just went out for the toilet about 5 minutes ago. The tent's just total ice. Brilliant. But I'm nice and toasty warm. I've got the sleeping bag, bivvy bag, down jacket, hat, neck warmer. And I seen a fantastic idea on YouTube. It was a girl over in America, just with the little hand warmers you get. These ones here, where you just open them up and they soon heat up once they react with oxygen. Well, I've tucked 2 of them into my down booties in the sleeping bag, and I can feel them just starting to kick in just now. So I shouldn't have cold feet anyway. I don't think it's meant to drop any further than -5, hopefully. And in the morning, the forecast has got a couple of hours of snow at 8 and 9 o'clock, just when I'm hiking back. But I've only got 2 or 3 miles across the river, Tummel, I think it's called. And it's a single track road back into Pitlochry, and hopefully I can get out in the van and I don't get stuck in the road. But for now, I'll leave you all, and I'll catch you in the morning. Bye. Morning, guys. It's a fantastic snowy 6:30 in the morning up by the River Garry in Killiecrankie. Really cold night last night, but I was toasty warm in my sleeping bag. It wasn't bad. So it's dark, and the forecast has changed to, obviously, as you can see just now. I'll show you the tent. It's snowing just now. So I've made the decision just to forgo breakfast and just head the 2 or 3 miles I've got left in the trail to get back into Pitlochry, in case the snow gets a bit too heavy for me to get out in the van. So I've put my, don't know if you can see, I've put the Yetis on. Didn't want to fall over there, and I'm just going to trek out. So I'm going to wrap it up now because it's freezing cold and I'm holding this camera a bare hand.
And you ever wonder if days like these last with one another, with the feeling pass? Would you find out with me if it all starts to crumble? We'll search the pieces for a hope or a mumble. It's not for me to decide.
Well, guys, that's us for another adventure. I'm just short of Pitlochry now, so hopefully in 15 minutes time I'll have a nice breakfast. I hope you enjoyed the video. I didn't go into too much history this trip, as I was enjoying the scenery and it was a bit too cold to sit and study up while on the route. So I hope you understand that. But let me know in the comments below if you prefer the videos with a little bit of background history to them, if it's more enjoyable or it's a bit boring. But I'd like to just take this opportunity to thank everyone for all the likes and comments. I've been doing the YouTube videos for about 6 weeks now, and I very much appreciate them. For everyone who's liked, commented and subscribed. So thanks very much, and we'll see you on our next adventure. I'll bid you farewell, my friends.
When you're lost and no one's there, and you wonder who even cares, oh, come